I heard lady today said it doesn't matter anymore.
What you doing?
What's the problem? Landfall. There's a lot of
Three, two, one.
All right, it is Wednesday morning.
hump day.
There you go. Didn't even have to wait for it.
Hump
cue.
day.
David Sears joining me this
Alicia
morning.
is here because
I know,
it hurts her
I've
ears.
seen it like
It jolts her.
messes her eardrums or
Doesn't mess with
something.
your ears. Hump day.
No, I've worked with you enough, David, to know. Yeah, you get excited about Hump Day here. Welcome to KSAT News Now, streaming podcasting from the newsroom as usual, and David with me, as you've just heard, on another bro show. It's been a while.
Been a while since I had a bro show.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, since we'll be able to hang out here on KSAT News Now. And you can't go wrong talking some sports on a bro show.
Are we going to talk sports? We're going to talk Spurs?
We are, yes.
Day
Okay,
is done.
here we go.
Perfect day. Spurs going to be playing in Austin. They waited till like April, like the end of the season, to play those two games in Austin. Which I
Yes.
still haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah.
But there's some news about that.
I'm glad you brought that up. We
back to
will
back.
talk about that sort of interesting quirk in the scheduling there, and also ticket prices for those games. The team just announced that they are now on sale, so we will have that in just a little bit.
And you all know WWE superstar. I'm not going to tell you who it is. But it's a superstar. He's a superstar. And
Super
he's
duper.
broken a record because of his philanthropy, not because of what he's done in the ring, but what he's done out of the ring. So we're going to talk about that. I mean, it's amazing, and it's absolutely, I mean, you got to give this guy all the credit in the world for what he's done.
Yeah, something I had no idea that he was doing, but really, really cool story. Plus, this is good news here for Disney fans and also fans of cruise ships, as well as we are now talking about some vaccination requirements there for some of the Disney cruise lines and what you need to know if you plan to book a trip in the near future.
Disney, but we've got a couple of serious subjects that we want to talk about first. We're going to talk about parents who do not want to even sleep because they are protesting outside of the Uvalde CISD administrative building. Yesterday, a handful of parents staged a protest demanding that the district open an investigation and fire all of the district police officers that stood in that hallway in Robb Elementary 18 weeks ago.
It has been 18 weeks, our children are dead, and you still have these cops rolling around here.
Do your job and suspend these officers pending an investigation, and then we can go from there.
77 minutes. So just as long as you guys, we've been an inconvenience to you, that's how long our kids were there.
Yeah, so very heated moments there. That was Brett Cross that you heard from a little bit earlier, the father of Isaiah Cross, who passed away in that Robb Elementary School shooting. So the parents blocked the superintendent and other staff from entering that building, as you saw there and heard if you're listening to us on the podcast. DPS troopers did show up to escort them in and outside of the building a little bit later on.
And I think you heard one of the mothers that was talking about 77 minutes. So when the protest hit 77 minutes, the parents made it very clear to the staff that that's how long it took officers to act that day at Robb Elementary.
Yeah, the superintendent there says that an audit is being done on the police force, but that the families, but these families, of course, saying that these officers should be suspended while that audit is taking place. And just another development here, David, with everything that's going on. And you brought up the significance of the 77 minutes. I think they really, really are trying to make another point here.
And hopefully they can get this audit done. And you know, I can't imagine still, even as long as it's been 18 weeks, what these parents are still continuing to go through out there in Uvalde. But hopefully they can get some answers pretty soon. And speaking of answers, we know what the question is: how bad is it going to be? The answer we don't know yet.
Yeah, definitely. And now we're talking about the latest with Hurricane Ian, because today it is inching closer to the Florida coast, and we are getting seeing some things now. It's going to be pretty rough one out there for Floridians. Yeah,
Justin Horn is standing by. We're going to get to him in just a second so he can show us some of the particulars and give us some of the stats on this storm that is absolutely. You just look at the camera, look at the wind blowing this thing. I mean, up to 150 miles an hour, I believe, entering the Gulf and then headed towards Florida. This thing is going to reach the Category 5 speed, and what do you call it? I guess that's the category, is Category 5. So it's headed for Fort Myers right there, and you can, I mean, we're just looking at it right now, but you can see they have been warned, all the people on that West Coast, get out. And now I think even Governor DeSantis said earlier today, or even last night, that if you haven't left, too late. You better hunker down and get ready, because this thing is going to be devastating for the entire west coast of Florida. Yeah,
and we're talking about millions of people here that were under those mandatory evacuation orders, but of course, you know, not being forced to leave, and again, having to hunker down now. Theme parks, schools, supermarkets, and even some gas stations have already boarded up and evacuated. And again, Ian has picked up steam after hitting Puerto Rico and causing nationwide blackout there, not only in Puerto Rico, but also in Cuba.
Yeah, we know that they're going to be dealing with power outages. As a matter of fact, I think CPS has sent some crews out there. They're standing by, staying out of harm's way, but they're ready to go in and help all those folks. And you know, I mean, Justin's here now, and we're just looking at the video. But now when you look at this radar that he's got for us, this thing is just massive.
It is. And you mentioned Puerto Rico. That was actually from the last hurricane. So this Cuba was from Ian, and so the tropics have really been heating up, right? And you guys mentioned winds at 155 miles per hour. Look at this thing. It is big, it is massive, it is strong, and it is starting to make landfall as we speak. So you see the eye right there. We can see it very well on radar, and the eye wall is just starting to move on shore there. And this is where they have extreme wind warnings. I was just watching the latest update from the Hurricane Center. They've issued extreme wind warnings here for the coast, right about the Sanibel area, where winds are going to be catastrophically strong here, again, up to around 155 miles per hour. Then we got storm surge on top of that. So let's get you the latest here. We're going to zoom in a little bit. Yeah, it looks like the eye wall is maybe just a couple miles from the coast at last update. Winds are at 155 miles per hour, gusting to 190, and it's moving north-northeast at 9 miles per hour. That's significant too because it's not moving very fast. So then you're going to get a lot of rain on top of this. So freshwater flooding on top of this storm surge that we're going to get from this. And as we look at the hurricane winds, this is the wind field. So this red color here represents hurricane winds as this thing moves on shore. And you can see even southeast of Tampa, they're still going to get hurricane force winds here as this moves inland, and then it will slowly weaken. By, say, tomorrow morning, we're looking at a tropical storm near Orlando. And then this may reemerge out into the Atlantic before curving back into the Carolinas and still producing a lot of rain there. There have been college football games canceled or moved, even in the Carolinas, but across Florida for this weekend for that reason. So let's talk about strength. Right now it's at 155 miles per hour. That's probably where it stays, but regardless of whether it's a Category 5 or a Category 4, this is still a monster storm that is going to do, unfortunately, catastrophic damage. One of the big components to that is storm surge. Okay, so 12 to 18 feet. You don't see numbers like that very often. That's going to be over homes. So this area here along the west coast of Florida, very close to sea level, and you'll see this water rise over many structures. And that's why it is so very, very dangerous. And that is that area around Fort Myers and that bay that is going to see the worst of it. But even up towards Tampa, 3 to 6 feet storm surge, that's pretty significant. And up and down the west coast, storm surge is going to be a problem. Then we mentioned the rainfall, up to 15 inches of rain on top of everything else, with the threat for some tornadoes as well as you get these rain bands coming up here. So you got freshwater flooding on top of the storm surge. This is one of those situations where thoughts and prayers go out to everyone in Florida because it's going to be significant. We do have to get to our forecast, and very quickly we'll let you know it's beautiful. We had temperatures in the 60s this morning. We're going to be up near 90 this afternoon, very similar to yesterday. And next couple of days look very similar to today. Cool mornings, great afternoons, sunny skies, and pretty light winds. So evenings, mornings look fantastic, guys.
Great for us, not so great for Florida. We were watching some of the broadcasts from Florida early this morning,
Yeah.
and I was listening to the radio as well, and they were talking about one of the major problems that they're going to have is there's so many inlets.
Yes.
So much water is already inside the coastline.
Correct.
That's just going to create even more problems. And another thing I found very interesting was they were talking about how the wind was coming from the east, and so the water was going out.
Yeah,
and then when this hurricane comes in, that water's going to be coming back in like in a hurry.
That's true, and you see that a lot of times. And we were seeing that on in Tampa Bay, where the water is actually getting sucked out of the bay because they're on the other side of the storms are blowing the water out. So that's and I'm going to go back to the image here with the hurricane if I can get to there. But yeah, this is pretty impressive with it making landfall here soon. And I'll get back to there. You go. There's the radar image. I mean, we're looking at probably here in the next half hour or so, I would say this is probably going to make landfall.
And I heard
half hour.
One meteorologist say, we're to the point now, it doesn't really matter if it's a 4 or 5, it's going to be devastating regardless.
No, I mean,
so
you're talking 2 to 3 miles per hour here. It doesn't make a difference. The bottom line is if folks didn't evacuate, it's going to be a problem, and hopefully everyone did get out of there. But man, this is going to be 2 or 3 day situation too, because this thing is not moving very fast.
It's just going to sit over that part of the state. Right. Yeah, and you said 12 to 18 feet storm surge right now?
In some cases, and we're seeing that water already rise. And storm surge, a lot of times, is the most dangerous component to a hurricane, but we've got a lot of things to worry about with this one.
I have one more question for you, and then we'll let you go. But if it's going to go back out over water, and then come back, what happens to it?
Well, it could re-strengthen a little bit. It's not going to have a lot of time, but there's still going to be a storm surge even up in the Carolinas. You got to remember, like South Carolina, they call it the lowlands, right? I was just listening to this on the Hurricane Center. They're still going to get storm surge too. Even if it's a tropical storm, it can still push a lot of water up in there. So this is not just Florida. The Carolinas will be looking at this too. But I think the worst of the damage is going to be south of Tampa, the Fort Myers area. And if you've ever been to Sanibel Island, it's kind of a little barrier island, but it's flat, and there's going to be a lot of damage there.
I think the governor of Virginia was even talking about we got to get ready because it's going to be coming up this far north. So.
And it was a slow start to the season, but here we are.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely caught up. No, you said that, slow start here, but yeah, this one's definitely making up for a lot of what we have not seen so far. So thank you very much, Justin.
You got it.
Appreciate you, man, as usual.
Justin will be back at noon for an update on that. So if you want to join us again on KSAT 12 News at noon, Justin will be back and he'll give some particulars.
Yes, and something that obviously, does affect plans here when you talk about cruises. The weather, of course, plays into this, but there is good news for travelers and Disney lovers. Disney Cruise Line's COVID-19 vaccination rules are shipping out. So starting October 14th, most of the Disney ships will not require people 12 years and older to be vaccinated.
Of course, the vaccination requirement for kids between the ages of 5 and 11 dropped earlier this month, if you didn't know that. Yeah, between 5 and 11, don't worry about it. There's still going to be testing, though. Still going to have to take a test.
Okay, so for unvaccinated guests 5 years and older, that'll be done a day or two before the ship sets sail, and people who are vaccinated can get out of testing as long as they have proof. Always got to carry that vaccination card with you. We were talking about earlier, always just have it with us.
Got to have it. Other major cruise lines, including Carnival Cruise, Royal Caribbean International, and Holland America Line, are going to drop their vaccination requirements. If they haven't done so, then looks like they will be doing so.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people obviously love to get out on these cruise ships, so good to see that things are kind of getting back to normal business there. David, nothing normal about this guy right here.
Apparently not.
Yeah, John Cena. Okay, we know he's this big time, super duper WWE star. Yeah, just like that. David's getting a flex in right now. He is now in the Guinness Book of World Records. I think you can match him, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
Bench press with him, yeah. Not for wrestling or even acting. He is a very popular actor as well, but for some big things with philanthropy.
He is so popular. This guy, everybody pretty much knows who this guy is if you're just a little bit interested in sports and WWE. So he is a superstar in the WWE, but he set the record for most wishes granted through the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And if you're not familiar, the Make-A-Wish Foundation helps grant wishes like meeting celebrities or visiting special places for kids who've been diagnosed with life-threatening illnesses.
All right, so he's been doing this for a while now. So Cena granted his first Make-A-Wish in 2002 when he first stepped into the WWE world, and in 2012 he granted the foundation's 1,000th wish. So he's been doing it for a little bit now.
Yeah, according to the Guinness Book of World Records, he fulfilled 650 wishes as of July 19th. Make-A-Wish says Cena is the most requested celebrity. And back when he hit 500 wishes, he said he loves seeing the happiness on the kids' faces and will drop anything to take part. And if you've ever seen any of this, like a compilation of all these kids and the smiles and the looks on their faces when he's around them, it's just absolutely made all these kids just love the guy.
Yeah, and I mean, considering that he is an actor and he's also still part of the WWE circuit, I mean, that is a full-time, that's a grueling job, but to be able to just take a day or two out of your daily routine to be able to meet with these kids, something that is very important to him and obviously makes a difference in the world to these young men and women.
Yeah,
that is so awesome. Plus, I mean, I don't know, I really like his acting chops. I don't know if you've seen him act very much, David. He's got some comedic chops to him.
Does he?
Yes, he kind of plays on the part of being this sort of like big sort of meathead type guy, but he's got some jokes.
He got some funnies, huh?
He does, yeah.
All right, well,
I'd like to hang out with John Cena.
But all I know is from the video I see, he was a pretty good wrestler, still is a pretty good wrestler.
Yeah, definitely.
But these kids just, man, they flock to this guy. So he must have that personality that's just, that kind of, that attracts the kids and makes them laugh and makes them smile and makes them want to be around.
I think you could take him in the gym.
Oh, you think so? Well, I ain't been working
So
out.
you do that flex, yeah? Maybe? No? Okay.
How old is he?
That's a good question. Probably like mid to late 30s, I think now. Yeah, he's been around for a little bit, but yeah, good stuff there from
I don't think I
John
can take him
Cena.
because he's too young. I'm not afraid of him, though. Come on.
You know, age is only a number, David.
Exactly.
Well, you know what? It would not be a bro show. Oh, 45.
Wow.
Producer
Maybe
Alyssa.
I can take him then.
A little bit
Because
closer.
I'm only in my early 60s. Thanks, Alicia.
Feel a little bit more confident
Nah,
now?
I'm good now. Bring it on, bro.
It's an open invitation for John Cena to come on KSAT News.
Show me some of them wrestling moves.
All right, so we got some moves
Pile
here.
driver.
The
Bang.
Spurs. the Spurs. What is that? That suplex or whatever? Yeah, that's always fun. Well, of course, guys, it would not be a bro show without some Spurs talk. And this morning, we were talking some tickets, David, specifically up the road on I-35.
So if you want to go see the Spurs play in Austin, you can get your tickets already?
That's what you can do.
Wow.
Yes.
Man, season ain't even started yet. They're already selling tickets out in April.
Yeah. So these are the tickets. So they're calling this the I-35 series. These are the games that are going to be in Austin. We know this has caused a lot of conflict between Spurs Nation here. Spurs are playing 2 home games, David, in Austin this season. April 6th against Portland, and then April 8th against Minnesota.
And they're like back to back, right?
They are.
So they're going to drive to Austin, play, turn around, and drive back, and then go back. And that's what we're going to do. So why won't they do?
No, yeah.
Or
No,
are
I
they
think they're going to
in
stay
Austin?
probably in downtown Austin. I don't think they're going to be driving back.
Come on, you need to stay in Austin.
It's going to be like a road trip for them, honestly.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, well.
Not much of one, but it'll be a road trip. It's going to be the, what is it, the last 2 quote
unquote,
games
home
for the regular
games.
season?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they wrap up the regular season. So those games could mean a playoff spot.
They could.
Unless
you know, if you
listen to
hear from Pop,
then,
he said there's no chance of that happening. But the last 2
championship
home
this year,
games
huh?
of the season. And you know what? You brought up a good question earlier at the top of our show about why it just happened to be the last 2 home games. The Spurs tried to get some games earlier. They wanted these games to be in Austin earlier in March, in like February, March, but UT said, yeah, no thanks, but no thanks. We're not going to lend out our arena to you guys as the Horns are in the middle of their basketball season.
Would you rather see the Horns or the Spurs?
Well, I'd rather see the Spurs. I want to see the game up there.
We're gonna be a part of the 50th anniversary game in the Alamo Dome.
Yep.
I don't know. We got to talk to somebody about going to Mexico, right? How do we get that deal? How do we get that gig? What do we do there?
That'd be a great gig. I don't know. Is it in the KSAT News Now budget? Probably in the sports budget. We'll see.
I don't know.
Go down there.
I don't know. We'll figure it out. And then the 2 games in Austin. Well, see here, you save money because you're only going to Austin. That's just a little gas money.
And like you said, we're driving back. It's not like we're going to stay up there.
I'm not going to stay in a hotel. I'm going to go back, sleep in my own bed. And then, so we might afford to go to Mexico City.
Maybe, yeah.
Hey.
Mexico City, and then of course the Alamo Dome game, and then these 2 games here at the Moody Center. Quick ticket price check, David. Tickets for those games right now in Austin going anywhere from $60 to $250. Now remember, it's a smaller arena, only 10,000. So you're probably going to get a better seat than what you would maybe here at the AT&T Center.
This reminds you of the old hemisphere days.
There you go. Now we're talking.
Many people don't have a clue what I'm talking about. There used to be. Nah, thank you, Alyssa. Thank you so much.
He wants to take on John Cena. He's thinking about Hemisphere Arena.
There's some Spurs fans that remember the Hemisphere Arena even before they raised the roof in the Hemisphere Arena when it was about like 8,000.
Yeah.
And then they raised the roof.
8,000? Wow.
And then you ended up with the obscured seats. What do they call them?
The block like sight lines. Yeah.
They had the big
like
pillars to hold the roof up. And they had seats behind the pillars. So you're like,
how much were those tickets? Like $5 maybe? Yeah.
Real cheap. So anyway, all right. Well, there's a little walk down memory lane for you on the Spurs.
Always appreciate it,
that was before
David.
Pop. That Pop wasn't even here back then.
I know. Yeah, those were the Iceman days.
Oh, you know what?
Sure.
I think he was because Larry Brown was the coach, and we're still in the Hemisphere Arena. So
Charles Barkley, right? Shut it down.
Oh yeah, stop. We don't hear that anymore.
do
Charles reminds us every time he comes to town. Hey, I shut that Hemisphere Arena down.
Well, we could do this forever, but we have to let you guys go.
That's what happens when you have the bro show.
Yeah, exactly. David's with me. You're going to be at noon, so make sure you guys check that out. And we will see you back here tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Another bro show, maybe?
Maybe.
I don't know. Talk to Alyssa.